Right, so in the last video we cleaned up the transitions, and in this video we're going to prepare for mixdown. So this should be a pretty short video. What we're going to do is just prepare. What we're going to do is just clean the project up, make sure everything's colored properly, and then we'll move on to the mixdown. So I'm just going to go down the list of tracks first of all and make sure everything's in order. Yep. MIDI. So these 3 MIDI tracks here, obviously not needed. We can delete those. Main bass, high bass, yep. We're good. Low bass, yep. Acid. Okay, so I'll just color these a lighter orange so I can differentiate. This is we'll call this stab chords. Make sure it's green, yep. Audio, we'll call this SC trans. And you know what, because it's an effect, I'm actually going to color them both purple. SC trans 2. Actually, no, I'll keep them green, it makes sense. Okay, I'll chuck that there. Maybe we'll color them a different green actually. I'm a little bit fussy when it comes to this. Okay, this is the support stab, so sup stab. That's good. What have we got here? We've got an audio, reverse audio into the build. So okay, so rev saw, and we'll color that a dark green as well. Okay, we've got chords. Yeah, everything seems right here, apart from this audio track, which isn't doing anything. So we'll delete that. Lead 1, lead 2, pluck 1. Perfect. Melody. Everything seems in order. Yep. This audio track here, what's this? So reverse melodies. So rev mel. And we'll color that dark green too. Now what I'm going to do is basically, no, I'm not going to group them because you're already grouped. We'll leave those as they are. Piano, the piano is indeed being used, so we'll color this green as well. I like to color all my synths and stuff green, and to me a piano comes under synth even though it isn't. So over here we've got a pad, so I'll call this pad instead of piano, it makes sense. And then we've got piano sidechain. Which actually I don't think this is a piano sidechain trigger, so what I'm going to do is put this up the top because it's a trigger. We don't really want it in the core of the playlist, so put it under the normal sidechain. Piano sidechain, we'll color it white. Let's go back down. We've got piano reverb, piano delay, so I'm going to color those a lighter green, and I'm going to pull them up there and group them under the piano. Green. There we go. So I'll just double check that works. Sometimes it will mess up the sidechain. There we go. Pad sorted. What's this here? This is the vocal group, so we'll do Vox. Vox I like to color. You know what? I don't actually have a color for vocals. Let's do yellow. Other way around. And this goes F sharp, C, D sharp, C sharp. So I'll color all that in. Boom. And what have we got here? We've got an audio track. This is, what's this? Okay, so just a fill, we'll call this fill 1. Oops. Oh, roll 1. Keep that purple, it's an effect. We've got a snare roll, so we'll call this snare roll purple. Make sure we get all of them. We've got a secondary snare roll here, so call that purple. Snare roll 2. Got a big snare here. I'll just call this BS for big snare. Make sure that's coloured in. Make sure all of them are. Got one over here too. Cool. What's this here? An explosion. So we'll call this impact 1. Again, purple. We can colour all these purple pretty much because they're all effects. So efficiency. Make sure all of this is selected. Boom. There we go. This is another effect, impact effect I'll call it. So let's do impact 2. And we can delete this crash because we're not using it. This is a reverse crash and crash, so we'll do rev/crash. And we can select also all this and colour it purple instead of having to do it individually. Downlifter, which is actually reverse, so uplift 1. This is a downlift. This is a reverse, rev 2, rev 3. What's this here? I think this is a, oh yeah, crash 2, riser, downlift 2, impact 3, and bass B drop kick. And we don't need any of this, so let's delete those. I'm just going to organize these effects. First of all, I'm going to group them. So group effects, just to keep organized. And we'll start with the most important. So we'll start with all these build-up effects. So snare roll, the riser, downlift, and we'll just go from order here. So downlift, chuck these up here, uplift below it. You don't need to do this. I'm being a little bit pedantic, but it's just nice to have things in order when you're really working on the mix. Reverse crash, reverse 2, and reverse 3. Crash 2 can go down here. We've got the yep, it's pretty good. I think we're good. We'll just take this down the bottom because it's a very minor part. Okay, it's pretty much sorted. So we've got if we minimize everything, you can see that it's nicely organized. Oh, apart from a few of these things. This here reverse melody we will color dark green. But other than that, everything's organized well. And we have a nice bird's eye view of what's going on here. So the other thing I want to do is set up a few things in preparation for Mixdown. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually save this project as a new project. So we'll call this, if we go file save as, we can call this STF uplifting pre-mix. Okay, so that means if we screw up the Mixdown, then we can always come back to the pre-mix file and do it again. Or decide that this will be the final mix. And now what I'm going to do is save another copy as mix. Okay. And now we can start mixing down. So before we move on to the next video on the mix down, we're going to set up a few bus tracks or submix tracks. And the reason for this is because we've got all these groups, but what if we want to affect multiple groups at the same time? Well, we can't just group a group in Ableton. We can't take the main bass and acid, for example, and group them. So we need to set up a submix. So the way we do that is I'm going to insert an audio track. You can use a send track. We'll call this bass submix. And we'll color all these submixes pink so we can see what's happening with them. And we can actually move these to the top, and that will just make it easier later on when we come to mixing. So behind the sidechain triggers. Okay, so we've got our bass submix, and we'll send the main bass to it. So if we go, where are we? Main bass. We send it to bass submix. So now, and set this to in. This is where our main bass is going, right? It's not sending out to the master. Which is why if I turn this off, you don't hear anything. Okay, so we need this on now. It's our bass submix. We can send the acid to this as well, which is what I want to do. I don't want to send the low bass there, and I'll explain why in a moment. So we send the acid over there too. And now we can process the acid and main bass together. So I want that bass submix. I also want a kick and bass, or kick and sub. So let's do that, kick and sub. We'll color this pink too. We'll put it above the bass submix because it's more important. So we'll set the input to in. We'll do the kick out to, where are we, kick and sub. So now if I play this, it's coming out the kick and sub. If I mute this, it won't come out anywhere. So put the low bass in there, send to kick and sub. So now we've got this. And we can process that kick and sub together. So that's pretty cool. The drums can stay as they are because the drums are already grouped. But we could go further. Let's see what else we can do. We could group all these synths together. But I think it would be a better idea to, we could also group all these synths together, but I don't think it makes sense to do so when we've got two separate parts. We've got this breakdown section, which consists of like the pad, the piano, some of the melody. We've got the chords and stuff. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to split this up into three groups. So we're going to have the stab chords and sub-stab sending to one place. So if we make the submix first, so let's do audio track. We'll do synths 1. Color this pink, set it to in. Then we can select all of these and just send it to, where are we? Synths 1. They'll all go to synths 1 now, so we can process them all at once, including this. And now we'll do the same for synths 2. So this will be the breakdown section, or we could call this synths break maybe. So let's do synths just so we can understand it easier, and we don't have to think what was synths 1. So it's good to be descriptive when you're naming stuff. So for this we'll do piano and pad, and I know we've got the melody in there, so that's kind of a tough one. Yeah, we'll leave that for the final one. So let's do piano pad, and we'll also have Vox in there. Let's chuck the Vox into the break synths. Okay, so synths break, they're all going in there. So now if we play this, We've got that. And finally we'll do it for the chorus stuff. So reverse saw, reverse melody. We'll chuck all these into synths. No, we want an audio track. Synths chorus. And this will all make sense. You might not have done this before, but it will all make sense when we get to Mixdown. So let's chuck all these in the chorus one. So synths chorus. Now we can play this. Awesome. Now finally, we might split the effects up into a few different ones. So we've got the crashes, the downlifters. So we kind of want all those to be in one group, right? We want the downlift, maybe not the impacts, because the impacts have some low frequency. So let's take out, let's pull the impacts down below the crash, and then let's make a bus or submix called FX high pink, and then we can basically select this crash all the way up to this downlifter, and we can put that into FX high. And set that to in. There you go. Cool. And we could do the same with the impacts and stuff. Let's do that. So FX low. Mid and low. We'll do that. And then we can put everything else into there. So FX mid and low. And FX mid and low. Now you're probably wondering, Sam, why on earth would you waste time doing all that? Now the reason is because this allows us to adjust our mix on a much more macro level. So let's say, we're mixing, we listen to the chorus and we're like, there's a bit too much mid, there's too many mids in here. Now we could go individually into each track and pull down the volume or like EQ out the mids. But an easier way to do it might be to go, well, the synths contribute a lot to the mids. Let's pull the synths and the effects mid and low down and see if that makes a difference. Or we might be like, the low end is too much, so we pull down the kick and sub a little bit. So you get the idea. So let's play through our track now. Let's play through the chorus. You can see everything's coming through these submixes. That's pretty cool. Doesn't need to be grouped though. So that's pretty cool. And the last thing we want to put here is a pre-master. And I'll explain this. So when we're mastering and when we're mixing, we might want to have a reference track available so we can kind of listen to how the spectrum, or look at how the spectrum compares to ours. However, and especially when you're mastering, if you're running a reference track through the mastering plugins you're using for your track, you're not going to get an accurate sound, because you might be like, okay, we've got our reference track playing, we add a EQ to our master, but of course that's going to affect the reference track. So with the pre-master, we can send this to external out. And if we send all our submixes to that, so we send that to pre-master instead, and set this to in, and we'll see our drums there too. We've got this. So now if we added something to our master, and I'm lagging a bit here, but if we added something to our master, nothing would happen because it's not coming out of the master, it's coming out of the external out. So I hope that makes sense. And in the next video, like I said, we're going to mix it down. So I'll see you then.